welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're lacing up, you could say, for a look into something surprisingly powerful: sprint training.
Yeah, and our sources for this are the power of sprint training and also the power of sprinting in Muhata. And what's really interesting, I think, is how both show these short, intense bursts have like a massive reach, not just physical, but mental too.
Absolutely. So our goal really is to pull out the biggest reasons why adding these short, sharp efforts could actually be a game changer for your fitness, your well-being. And just a quick fun fact to start us off. The very first event in the ancient Olympics, it was a sprint. Doesn't get much more fundamental, does it? One of the first things that really jumps out is just how efficient sprint training is. I mean, we're talking significant benefits from maybe 15, 20 minutes.
It fits right into that HIIT model, high-intensity interval training, or even more specific, SIT, sprint interval training. And the advantage over just, jogging for an hour is how it stresses the body differently, makes it adapt faster, stronger.
Right. And it's not just about burning calories while you're doing it, is it? It sounds like sprinting has this, longer-lasting effect on body composition.
That's a huge point, both burning fat and encouraging muscle growth.
Which is kind of the holy grail for a lot of people.
Exactly. The sources mention these cellular adaptations, improving what's called oxidative capacity, basically how well your cells use oxygen for energy. And it's interesting, sprinters often carry less body fat than endurance folks.
Huh. You'd almost think the opposite.
Well, and they tend to hold on to muscle better than people doing hours of traditional cardio, which can sometimes be muscle wasting.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like a targeted shock to the system. I think one source even said research suggests sprinting can shock the body into becoming fitter at the cellular level, like changing gene expression.
Yeah, influencing genes tied to body composition. It's pretty fundamental stuff.
Wow. Okay. And then there's the metabolism side. The calorie burn isn't just during the sprint itself.
Not at all. This is where EPOC comes in, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption.
The afterburn.
Exactly, the afterburn effect. And sprinting is really good at creating it. Because it's so intense, your body has to work harder afterwards to recover, burning more calories, at rest.
So more overall calorie burn even hours later.
And it seems to encourage using fat for fuel during that recovery period, too. So it helps manage weight without necessarily needing huge diet changes.
So your body's engine just stays kind of revved up.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Okay. And this isn't just about looking better, right? The metabolic health benefits seem pretty significant, too.
Oh, definitely. We're talking better blood sugar levels, improved cholesterol profiles, lower blood pressure. A really key piece is improved insulin sensitivity.
Which is huge for preventing type 2 diabetes.
Absolutely crucial. Makes your body handle blood sugar much more effectively.
That's a massive health win. Okay, moving on to muscles. Obviously, it works the legs, but it sounds like it's more of a full-body thing than you might think.
Very much so. The power needed, especially from glutes and hamstrings, is immense. It's an anabolic activity. It builds tissue.
Building muscle, okay.
Yeah, and it fires up a lot of muscles, including those fast twitch fibers. The ones for quick, powerful movements, type TII.
Like dashing for a bus, you mentioned.
Exactly. And maybe surprisingly, it hits those hip flexors, psoas, iliacus, which often get weak, and your core has to work hard to stabilize everything.
So it builds that explosive power you might need for, anything really, not just sports.
Precisely. It's about functional power for everyday life.
Okay, now the heart. Some people might hear high intensity and worry a bit about cardiovascular health.
That's understandable, but actually, while the effort's high, the benefits for the heart are significant. It improves your VO2 max, how well your body uses oxygen.
Which is a big marker for overall health and longevity.
A very big marker. And peak power output improves too. The heart itself adapts, gets stronger. The main pumping chamber squeezes harder, pumps more blood with each beat stroke volume increases.
So it becomes a more efficient pump.
Exactly. And the data points towards lower risk of heart disease, better cholesterol, better blood pressure control, even from these short bursts.
That's really encouraging. Short efforts, big heart impact. And thinking longer term, does this help with aging?
Looks like it. The sources connect it to fighting off that age-related muscle loss, sarcopenia. And being weight-bearing, it strengthens bones important against osteoporosis, helps with balance.
Okay, keeping you stronger and steadier.
Right. And there's even suggestion it helps maintain quickness, reaction time, maybe even reduces risks of cognitive decline.
Wow, keep the fast muscles firing, keep the brain sharp too. That's quite a connection.
It seems that way.
And just practically doing sprints can actually make you a better runner overall.
Yeah, it kind of forces good form, like striking on the ball of your foot, not the heel.
Yeah,
Training at max effort reinforces that muscle memory.
so it could help your distance running, maybe fewer injuries.
Potentially, yes. Better mechanics usually means less strain. And of course, all that explosive work boosts your agility too.
Okay, so the physical side is incredibly compelling. But you mentioned earlier there's this whole mental and hormonal piece too. Let's unpack that.
Yeah, this is really fascinating. The immediate effect on mood and stress is noticeable. You get that endorphin release, the sprinter's high, like other exercise.
Feels good.
Definitely. But it also seems to have a specific calming effect afterwards, helping lower stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol once the intensity drops.
So intense effort, then calm.
Kinda, yeah. And research suggests it can genuinely help reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety.
So it's like a physical and mental reset. And the hormones.
Yeah.
That sounds important.
Very. Sprinting can actually boost key hormones like testosterone and growth hormone.
Which are vital for muscle, fat loss, bone health.
Exactly. And it influences adrenaline and noradrenaline for energy. Plus, over time, it helps your body get better at regulating cortisol, so you handle stress better overall.
That's a really holistic picture.
Yeah.
Stress balance, muscle building.
Yeah.
Okay. And the brain boost.
Yeah.
You touched on cognitive function.
Right. That increased blood flow during intense exercise is great for the brain. It supports memory, concentration, decision-making.
So clearer thinking.
Potentially, yeah. Some studies suggest better focus, faster reflexes, maybe even more mental flexibility. Plus, potentially better sleep, more motivation. It feels good to push yourself like that.
It can be rewarding for sure.
Yeah.
Which brings us nicely to Muhata. How does all this sprint science actually show up in their fitness platform?
Well, Muhata's whole philosophy seems built around short, frequent bursts. They're micro workouts. It mirrors that sprint training idea, high intensity, short duration.
Okay.
They're dynamic movements, things like jump squats, specific sprinting drills they include. They're designed to get those cardio and muscle benefits we've been talking about.
And they actually have specific sprinting elements in there.
Oh, yeah. They've got benchmarks.
Yeah.
A 100-meter dash, they say sprint like your life depends on it, because it does, which is pretty motivating. Also, a 400-meter, a 40-yard dash.
Right.
And even something called static sprinting, basically running in place with high knees, fast arms, works legs, core, stamina. And you can log your own sprint sessions in their tracker.
So they're actively encouraging it, building it in. And the benefits they claim for their micro workouts, do they match up with the sprint research?
They seem to align really well. Muhata talks about metabolic gains, muscle activation, the mental side, like stress reduction, focus, all classic sprint training outcomes. And they have that gamification thing, earning Muhata currency. That could definitely help people stick with the intensity, make it more, fun.
Yeah, that reward element can be powerful for consistency. And it sounds like they're even planning competitive events around this.
They are. They have this vision for a Mount Muhata World Championship, an obstacle race, but your qualifying benchmarks include sprint times. And Muhata mountain races, short, super intense uphill races, it really takes that high-intensity digital training into, real-world challenges.
Tapping into that primal urge to race, maybe?
Right.
And I saw something about a tracker system for balanced muscles. How does that fit with sprinting?
That's important for injury prevention. Sprinting hits certain muscles hard, right? Glutes, hamstring.
Right.
So focusing on overall balance, strengthening opposing muscles, like Muhata aims to do with Tracker, that helps support those high-impact movements and reduce injury risk. It fits with sprinting being a fundamental movement, like Muhata emphasizes.
It's about being powerful and balanced.
Exactly. And it ties into their whole mission of fighting sedentary life, reconnecting with basic human movement. You see that in their animal moves and claws and jaws stuff too, getting back to how our bodies are meant to move.
It all seems to weave together quite nicely. Okay, so let's try and boil this down. For you, the listener, what are the absolute key takeaways from this deep dive?
I think the main message is this sprint training, these short, intense bursts, are incredibly efficient. They pack a huge punch for improving body composition, metabolic health, heart health, muscle power, and even your mental state.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how much you can get from such, brief periods of really hard work.
It really is. It shows how responsive our bodies are, how well they adapt to that kind of stimulus.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Just consider maybe how you could weave even tiny bursts of sprinting into your own life.
Mm.
Could you find a minute here or there, a quick dash up some stairs, maybe intervals in your walk?
Hmm.
Think about how tapping into that really fundamental human movement might unlock some of these surprising benefits. Maybe connect you to that basic physical potential that, Muhata talks about. It's really about exploring what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an invitation, really, to see what your body's capable of, maybe push those boundaries a little, and just embrace the power that comes with moving intensely.